Welcome to the latest edition of First State Kopites, episode 35, which tells us we're near the end of the season of season 3. Podcast for Liverpool supporters in Delaware and friends of those Liverpool supporters. Thanks for listening on your preferred platform. We're available on all of them, and we're on YouTube too. And our YouTube numbers keep going up, which is so thank you to people looking at us on YouTube. This week, I'm joined by Haitham and Daz to reflect on quite a big week in terms of the Premier League. And then we've got some big matches coming up in Champions League. We've got that early kickoff against whatever call them, Sportswashers United, who seem to be surging right now. So we'll dive right in. I think what we'll do is, given the game played earlier was a lot more fun than the one played yesterday. So we're recording this on April 25th, 2022, day after Liverpool beat Everton in one of the ugliest matches you're probably going to see Liverpool playing for sure. They won that 2-0. But last week, I'm thinking it was Tuesday, we overran Manchester United. And for anyone of a certain vintage, we cannot dwell too long on beating them 5-0 and 4-0 in the same season. So Haitham, I'll start with you. Let's go with the United. We'll then talk about Everton, and then we'll go on to talk about the upcoming week, which I think is more difficult than what we faced so far, despite some of yesterday's shenanigans. So, how glorious was that? 4-0 could have been more.
Yeah, it was a great watch. It was like, so I watch a lot of their training sessions on YouTube, and
United's?
No, hours.
You animal.
Hours. I try to stay away from any United thing, but it just felt like it was a training session. Everything, the way the ball was kept, the passes, it just felt like when they needed to turn it on, they did that, and when they needed to slow it down, keep possession, they just did what they wanted to do. Now going into the match, I knew how shambolic United defense is. And then their midfield, obviously they have the quick wingers. I wasn't sure if Ronaldo was going to play or not. But then even, if you think about it, the 5-0, they had Ronaldo and Bruno, and they couldn't do jack. So
and they had Greenwood in that game as well,
and Greenwood
are saying they're missing.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was just, I think everything that could go wrong for them went wrong. And for us, it was pretty much a perfect game, especially the first half, where it was, if you wanted to look up footy in the encyclopedia, not the dictionary, the encyclopedia, basically just, you don't need to, you just go and watch that first half. Everyone was just on point. So yeah, it was enjoyable. I don't know what else to say about it. I think it's the only match this season where I wasn't too anxious. Matches, you just get anxious or whatever. But this one, it was just like, oh, I'm relaxed. I might have, I'm not a wine drinker, but I could have been sipping on a glass of wine, just like a big one like yours, Paul.
It's the camera. Yeah. It's the camera.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. The goals were fabulous. First goal, when I talk about shambolic defenses, it was just a pure display of that. The touches in the second goal, the build-up with Matip, and then, the Mane assist. Mane has been, I think I mentioned it maybe a couple of weeks when I was on the pod, but Mane has been just great. And that was just a perfect example of how great he is. And I think, I can see the difference between the first couple of matches where he was the false number 9, and you know the last few matches playing that position, I think his really, I don't want to say getting it, because he played for Senegal. He plays a false 9 sometimes too. Yeah, it was, you know, nothing more to say about it other than it was just a pure display of perfection, and seeing it coming from my team was, I was just in awe.
So I definitely think Sadio deserves a shout, as you can tell from my shirt collection for tonight's episode. I mean, the pass was just unbelievable. I mean, I know that people were criticizing Dallo for not like chasing Salah, and I think that was kind of over the top. What they probably should have been criticizing is you've got a defense that really can't organize itself, and so you add an extra defender to make it even more chaotic.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. But I know on the agenda, Daz, you have added. Does anyone remember the Ryan Giggs comment about United would never end up like Liverpool? They wish. They wish. Yes. Where do you want to you take this anywhere? Thiago Alcantara, or Thiago, as I'm sure he's referred to actually in the city. I'm not doing that very well. I could talk for a long time about this game, and just how much better we were than them, and how, like, this is 30 years of like annoyance just knocked to one side.
Just spaffed into the air. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly think that Ralph Rangnick got a gag gift that was Phil Jones encased in glass and with the inscription "break in case of emergency," and he thought it was for real, because my heart goes out to him. Like, despite all those wonderful faces that he's given us down the years, like, that felt kind of cruel and unusual. It's like, oh, this is your 3rd game in the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, best team in the world.
Yeah, here's Mo Salah. Enjoy.
Yeah.
I think we talked about it before the kickoff, about just how, like, this was just tailor made for Liverpool. You got a team that you're trying to hastily throw together some ramparts to stop an almost unstoppable force, and like it was just set up to fail from the beginning, and we obliged, and it was almost assassin like. We just sliced them, and I think there was that period. I want to say was it towards the end of the first half? No, it was the beginning of the second half, where we just looked like we couldn't be asked, and they had a little bit of a run at us, and then we just finished it off. But it's, and to your point, Paul, like, I remember the 4-1 when we beat them in grey. That's probably one of my favorites of in recent past, simply because I always I always go back to, that's when they had the fan cast, and they had the Liverpool fan and the United fan sitting in the commentary box together. I don't know if you've seen that. And the guy's like, "Where's my Rafa goatee? What have you done with it?" He put the moustache on. That's one of my favorite games, just for that reason alone. Plus, like, we just decimated them, and Torres made Vidic look like as bad as Vidic actually was. But that was to your point. Like, Salah got 5 across the 2.
Yeah.
And I think he's the only one to do that, at least in the Premier League era. I
think it's most goals scored. I think it's generally most goals scored in the season against United.
Yeah.
And the other stat I saw was that United haven't had this goal difference against one team in a season since 1892, which we should remind you is the year we were founded. Just unbelievable on so many levels.
You were there for it, Paul, right? I could not pass on that. Sorry.
Well, I didn't have a ticket for that one because it was Sunderland against Man United, and actually they weren't called Man United back then. Apparently they were Newton Heath. So if you've ever seen the United fans with those green and yellow scarves, apparently that's the colours of Newton Heath. But one thing I'm realizing is how I dwelt on this a bit too long, because I watched all those videos again, like I did when we beat them 5-0, the compilations of all those United streams. You know, the I don't know, there were tons of video channels, including an interesting one from Vietnam, where I really felt sorry for the guy. I have no idea what he was saying, but he seemed like he seemed close to completely losing it. Well, he lost it, but it was bad. I watched all of those, and you know, I felt bad for the Vietnamese guy, but the other people were just funny. At one point, one of them says, "We're just making content now for Liverpool TV, aren't we?" and they all stopped.
Goldbridge is pretty good. Like I can't help but he brings a smile to my face.
I don't know who that is, but
he's one of those people like the Manchester Fan TV. He's one of their bigger ones.
Yeah,
and he just like it's his commentary as he's watching the match, and it's just the pain etched on his face is just like it's just such a delectable treat. But anyway, you asked about Thiago Alcantara. Like someone said it best, like we're just running out of superlatives for him. It's the way that he knocks a ball, how effortlessly he puts balls over the top for our first goal, like the vision on that. It was the first one, right? Am I getting them mixed up?
I think it was the second one, wasn't it?
It was the second.
Second, yeah.
The first was when Maguire failed to track Mane, and Mane laid the ball out to like, you know, take your pick, Mo, Trent, who wants to cross it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a good finish too. It was a very, very cultured finish.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, Luis Diaz, I really think he's going to be.
I know we're jumping ahead, but I've got to mention that touch against Everton. How does the man walk around with balls that big? And yeah, he generates an amazing amount of space for a guy that has to drag his bollocks around behind him. Like you just come on in a derby in a tight affair, and that's how you say hello. My God! And then he went round Seamus Coleman like he was standing still.
Yeah, the interesting thing is all the strikers. You know, the five strikers that were Bobby, Mo, Mane, even Jota. They can all do that. They, like I said, no one has the bullocks to do it. You know, and when it happened, I was like, wow.
So I'm feeling we're going to talk about the sixth striker before we finish today's episode. But any more on United? Last thoughts, because in my mind it was glorious. I couldn't have enjoyed myself more in the first half, and yeah. And
I mean,
back on the Salah got goals again, which I thought was not a bad thing.
Right.
Sorry, Haitham, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it was such a bad day for them. Even when they got, you know, that chance with Rashford when he beat the high line. I mean, any other match, I've seen him so many times scoring from that position.
Yeah,
like even his touch, he was like, I'm not gonna score this. You could tell in his demeanor and all of that stuff. So yeah, it was just a really shitty, poopy day at the office for them. And you know, I've listened to all the pundits, you know, and they're like, oh, it's the coach, you know, it's the coach's fault, all of that stuff. But to me, if you're a player, you know, after that 5-0, you know, you would do something like what Everton did, you know, yesterday. Like, you know, just have like play 10-0-0 or something. Yeah. You know, but yeah, it was just, you know, I don't think the catch, you know, his tactics obviously did not work, but at the same time, I think the biggest blame goes to the players.
Oh, I just think they're so broken in terms of, like, there's a great piece today. I was in the Guardian, I think, written about Pogba saying, you know, people can laugh at it, but basically this guy could potentially have been one of those talented players ever. He's just spent 6 years wasting his life at Manchester United, and you know, who knows where he is now, but this is clearly not what his skill level should have allowed. And then the Athletic last week, I think it was Michael Cox or one of the analysts kind of looked at who was tracking who on different phases of the game. And at one point, like what Pogba last 9 minutes, apparently the person he was closest to for most of the game was Martin Atkinson, the referee. And they were kind of joking that like, did he think that was his role? So, I just, yeah, as we said last week, and Sean was like slightly upset about this in case I jinxed them. That, I mean, they're a bad team, and we like I think the result turned out appropriately. So, last word to you, Daz, on United, and can we forever beat them 5-0 and 4-0?
Mine's a little bit more tangential. I thought that it was a real touch of class to sing "You'll Never Walk Alone" for Cristiano Ronaldo, considering he was the scourge of Liverpool for how many of your seasons he was with Manchester United. And it was touching to see. Like I did well up a little bit, because it's sometimes we don't get it right, but we get it right. We get it right more often than we get it wrong, and I think that was a really nice touch and a wonderful gesture. And I know that's like Liverpool will clap the Kop will clap opposing goalkeepers, which is, again, it's a nice touch. But I think that this was just a like a level above, and I just not again. It's like, it's to your point, Paul. Like, this, long may this continue, because I don't. The rot is so systemic at this point. It doesn't matter. Like, I saw that, like, they're starting to cook their own babies again now. Like, they fear that Ranić is not the right coach, but he might not be the man for the job for whoever takes over as the coach. And he was a director of football after this, right? Is that what they're looking to give him?
I think he was a consultant.
Yeah.
Whatever it is like, I just think that he should probably just set fire to his house and fake his own death and just and go and find a life elsewhere, because I don't think there's anything he's going to be able to do for that club, at least not in the short term. And I think that their supporters are maybe slowly coming around to the same realizations that we had in the early 2000s. Is like, we're not. Yes, we are footballing royalty, but we're not entitled to have people just roll over and let us and give us the points. And it's a different league. Like, there really is the quest for zero defect. Like, there's no margins for failure anymore. Like, you tie 2 games, you're 6 to 7 points behind the top guys, and you may never get it back. It's a different world.
Well, I mean, there's a few things going on with them, right? I do want to go back to your comments about the reason I didn't mention the Ronaldo thing is I feel like I expect that from our supporters. But in the second half, there were clearly, when they know they were losing, there were a whole load of City-like chants about Hillsborough, and I think one of them was about the sun was right.
Yeah.
Which actually seems to have created a response from Liverpool in terms of, like, this is not acceptable. We want the people called out for this. But this has been going on for years, and in that game in particular, where, like, clearly the Liverpool crowd showed a whole lot of empathy. I mean, whoever those people are, I don't hold them to high standards, but clearly they are capable of even being lower than those standards, which I'd hope that the lower standards that I hope they could live to.
Yeah, I remember reading it. Someone like that nothing was said about that. I don't think after.
To be fair, the Guardian did report it, actually. Yeah, initially it didn't appear that people had, but the Guardian did report it, and then they then reported Liverpool's comments about, this is not okay. We've had this happen now multiple times, and it's not respectful. And it's
someone keeps pointing out that the people, your commentators, both the main and color, don't. It must be something that's at an organizational level, that you're not to mention any type of negative chants that come out, because they have to be able to hear it. That's literally right beneath them.
Yeah. Agree. No, I think there is something systematic in the commentary. It feels like I'm being employed effectively by these people, and their product is being harmed by this. I can't talk about it. So
it's disgusting regardless. It's and it does need to be called out, but it's again, I think and we've said this before, I think it just speaks to the fact that the rest of the country's like, it's just those guys again, like, having something to say about something that's part of the game, but it doesn't need to be part of the game, and it shouldn't be part of the game.
Agree.
Like, banter's banter, but like, you cross a line. That's crossing a line.
I'm going to pivot to the Everton game now. I'm going to start with, because we're on this topic, from what I read today, and I think Simon Hughes wrote about this, there were people in the Everton end singing "Always the Victims" yesterday.
The same city.
Okay. So one of the things I know you put in the agenda, Daz, is, do we feel differently about them getting relegated? For sure, I feel differently about them getting relegated if that's the level of chanting. Go away to QPR and do that. Yes. Anyway, so gather myself. Haitham, go to you. Everton. It was pretty ugly. They had 17% possession. I mean, I don't know how you work this out, but someone told me that meant they had the ball for 9 minutes of the whole game. I don't know if that includes Pickford laying on the ball. I don't know if it includes them lying on the floor. Anyway, I don't know what it includes, but clearly they did a lot of anti-football things. I think if Atletico Madrid had done this, oh my God, the Telegraph would have been outraged.
Yeah. It's like you just mentioned Atletico. That was the first thing that came to mind. Oh, they're using their tactics. But it was clear, I think, from minute one that all they want to do is just stop the flow of the game. And to be honest, they kind of succeeded, in the first half.
Yeah, they did.
With their shenanigans. But I don't know why. Again, I can only talk about how I feel when I'm watching games or whatever. I was a bit nervous from the standpoint of I was just hopeful, or whatever you want to say, hoping that none of our players get injured. I mean, the history, the last time, what was it? Virgil's injury, Thiago's first injury, he was out for a couple of months. So it just, to me, that was the thing that I was most worried about, not the result, not us scoring. I knew we were going to score eventually, but I was just worried about injuries, and there were a lot of signs that might happen. You know, and the way the dives, with the ref. I know you guys have problems with this, with that ref, Atwell. I was just like, okay, someone from our team is going to get sent off because of all this diving. So it's going to happen. But luckily, as we all know, nothing happened, and the second half was a different match. I loved. Even before the substitutions, I think we played better football. And then, Diaz came in, Daz, you talked about the touches. That was pleasant to watch. And even, his assist, the second goal, it just, when he got up,
Assist?
Well,
generous.
It was putting it back in the danger area.
Yeah, clearly.
But it was, to me, it was, I had a flashback to his goal against Brazil. It was from the same angle, although he was with the goal versus Brazil, he was closer, to the goal. But it was the same everything. It was a cross, and he did the same kind of bicycle kick, but he was closer, so he scored that one. But technically, it's an assist. He went in the books as an assist for him. But yeah, I mean, I thought, and this has been, a recurring theme. Substitutions in the second half result in goals for us. Ever since, I don't know, it feels like since January, basically.
Yeah, I think everyone who voted 5 subs is already regretting that when they've seen Liverpool play in the last month.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, overall, like I said, it was just one of them games. I mean, to me, it felt like a Burnley game, But I understand, the Derby rivalry and all of that stuff. I did not like a lot of people were anticipating, I don't know, 5-0 or even 4-1, like we beat them
Yeah.
at the beginning of the season. But just because of where they are in the table and them trying to cling on to the Premier League, basically, I knew it was going to be a difficult game. I know it was going to be an ugly game, so I wasn't surprised at all. Now, going back to your comment to Daz about them being relegated, yes, I would love to see them get relegated. I know you might have family ties, Paul, but I don't.
When they start, so just sorry, small intro. When they start chanting about always the victims, it's like,
yeah,
wait a minute, you were the people who stood alongside us in
Yeah.
89, early 2000s. Yeah. So that I'm unhinged about that.
I mean, you're going to have idiots in every fan base. I'm not. I don't think like I'm sure you have, or I know that you have family members that support Everton. I don't think they'll be doing that. But you have idiots.
You wouldn't. No.
Yeah. But
my already cancelled Opta. She doesn't watch the games anyway, so it's all good.
my main reasoning to for wanting to see them go down is the fact that I don't want to see Richarlison anymore. I hope he gets, I don't know, picked up by team in Italy, or Atletico or whatever, because that suits him better.
You might be a player coach there.
Yeah.
It's a great shout.
Yeah, it's just players like those that I just don't want to see us play them anytime soon again.
I think Richarlison should change his handle from pigeon to jellyfish, because his legs are like his pneumaticist, like stinging legs, and the spinelessness, and the fact that he seemed like his infinite capacity to be able to regenerate himself. He's immortal. Like the number of times that he's gone down and like miraculously resurrected himself from the dead, seemingly. Like he's such. Like, I saw something about. I think I shared that statistic with those of you that are still on Twitter after Elon Musk bought it, but that Richarlison gets a foul every 2.1 touches. Go ahead and ask me how many Salah has per foul.
Well, how many Salah has per foul?
69.5, I think.
Yeah. So let's go to that place, right? Lampard, like I'm beginning to. I was not on Sean's wavelength of like, I hate this bastard all the time. Like, but the ridiculousness of like, if that was Salah, he'd have got a penalty. It's like, what universe are you in, Frank? Because quite honestly,
you must be new to this league. Is this the first game that you've watched?
Right. Because Salah doesn't get penalties. Let's start there. Everton apparently have had 2 penalties at Anfield in Klopp's era. We've had none. There's videos of like Salah being cleaned out by people. Still no penalty at Anfield. And Gordon, who. Well, I don't know what you think about the Matip challenge, because I've gone back and forth on it, but essentially I'm thinking it gets ruled out because of his history, quite rightly, because he's already done this against other teams. Mm-hmm. And I've watched a bunch of their games recently, and he constantly leans into people. And I do think he does that with Matip. He ends up standing on Matip's foot, like, so he's running across him and then wants to be fouled.
He grabs his shirt or grabs the arm. He tries to cross his arm.
Yeah. And I think in the end, Matip's like, fuck off. It's like, right.
Whee! Like a chip packet in the wind.
Yeah. Yes.
No, they had Plattenberg on ESPN Plus. I know you guys are not a big fan. And they talked specifically about that call or whatever. And he said he would not give it. For some of the reasons that you mentioned, Paul.
Yeah.
But he was like, it wasn't enough force or touch that warrants a penalty or a foul.
And I've already seen this guy fall over 14 times before this, right?
Yeah. And he mentioned that by the book you're not supposed to take into account what happened in the past, even if it's like a few minutes ago. But he said the refs are still humans, so. Yeah. Of course,
they're vermin that should be hunted for sport.
I have to say, I know we like Justin called, which I loved. He called his, I think he was refereeing of the Villa game in Anfield, performance art. But I'd say on the whole, yesterday, I think with a different referee, we'd have had a lot more issues. I don't want to pretend he was in control, and there were things, like it should have been a red card for Richarlison, I think. But Mane slapped a few people in the face.
Yeah.
That could easily have gone badly, and someone could have called that early one where Gordon again fell over when he was chasing when Trent was chasing him, which I didn't think was didn't think it was a foul, but again, I've seen a lot of Gordon, and I think he just dives. I think he has that terrible English thing, which is English people don't dive, and therefore it's easier to get away with it.
Harry Kane-itis.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's a whole list of them, right? I think the list you shared on the Simon Brundish tweet was interesting. Who's in that? Sterling, Kane,
Grealish.
What I thought was wild was that Son was like
towards the bottom,
way down the list. He was like not as bad as Salah, but way down the list in terms of getting fouls.
Well, it's like that sign that they hold up with like the different colors on it, from white to brown, like clever diver, and I think he's closer towards the bottom of the color scale.
Yeah. African, Asian.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Asia, close enough. Diver.
That's given way too much. So what's one thing we missed about the game yesterday that we should be celebrating? I think there's a couple. There's a couple.
Well, Allison's absolute shithousery at the end of the game. My God. His missus tweeted something out after that, and I don't know how often she tweets about matches, but someone pointed it out. I had a good laugh at that. That was worth it.
He go ahead. Sorry.
No,
I was just gonna say he was like, I'm not thinking about Jesus and being a good Christian right now. It's just shithousery.
Yeah, Lord forgive me.
The Lord has commanded me to do this, to point out the dick that's in the other goal.
Well, and we would be absolutely remiss to not talk about the sixth striker, as you mentioned. Divock Origi, ladies and gentlemen, take another bow. I don't think there's enough holy water to exorcise that demon from the halls, from Goodison and the halls around Everton. Like he just as soon as you came on, I was like, he's gonna score, isn't he? He's absolutely gonna score.
I couldn't believe that when I saw it. Is 6 goals in 10 games. It's twice as many as he scored against anybody else, but it's also more goals in a derby than like Kenny Dalglish. I think it's tied with Steven Gerrard. I think it's like a record of someone who's played a million minutes, not someone who's shown up for bit parts and then scores those critical goals.
But think about it: the 3 subs were involved in the second goal.
Mm-hmm.
Henderson to Diaz, who very kindly popped it back into the middle for Divock to knock in with. He could have probably done it with his hat.
Sure, he meant it. Oh, actually, I don't know if that was that easy, that header, but anyway, it was bound to be a Divock goal, right?
Yeah, and if he had missed it, Fabinho was like right behind him. He wasn't gonna pass the two of them.
Did not need to be anyone near. It had to be a Divock goal.
Right.
So maybe I'll just quickly ask this question. Top Divock moment. He's actually not scored that many goals for Liverpool, but all the ones he seems to have scored seem to be like
massive,
incredibly significant. Yes. So, Haitham, want to have a quick pop at?
Yeah, my top Divock moments. I mean, there are so many of them, like you guys just said, but I think was it the second goal against Dortmund or the first goal? I think it was the first goal, the comeback basically against Dortmund.
Yep.
The 4-3. I think when he scored, that was just phenomenal for me. I mean, I can go back to that season too in the Premier League, and he had a few moments like that.
Yeah.
But that's the first thing that comes to mind when I think about Divock goals.
Good shouts. In fact, I think if he hadn't been hacked down by Funes Mori in a derby match, I think we may have won that season's Europa League. But in hindsight, I don't think we were ready for the Champions League. So I don't know if in the end it was the worst thing that for the team that happened. But obviously it was bad for him. Good shout. Daz, what would your shout be for best Divock goal? And there's a lot of them.
I forget which one who we were playing against. I want to say it was in a cup competition with that incredible like scorpion style kick that he
was that season's League Cup, right? Was that Preston?
I think was it Shrewsbury? Maybe?
Shrewsbury, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
That just pops in my head too when you were saying it too. I think that's who it was against, and like that defied the laws of physics, astrophysics, biology. I don't think it broke every single law available. Like I'm surprised his leg is still attached to his hip.
Yeah,
there was, and then like you could. Can you look past the corner taken quickly goal? Like,
well, so I mean, there's several, right? There's that one. There's several corner taken quickly T-shirts, but there is so I think when it comes down to it, the Jordan Pickford mess in the 96th minute, was that in the 2018-19 derby? That was a moment. Yeah, but he's not shy of big moments, right?
No.
Yeah.
No, I mean the Champions League final. I mean he cemented it because I really think had he not scored, Tottenham might have tied it up somehow, but just he sealed it. You know,
he did.
I just want him to make ASMR tapes where he just says, "There's no reason to be upset." It just seems like that's the type of guy that he is. He seems kind of unflappable. Like. Someone said that they watched Retief Wilson before he won I think it was the US Open. It was a PGA of the US Open. He said it was on the 18th, walking down the 18th fairway. He just reached into his bag and pulled out a banana and very slowly peeled it and so eating it on his way up to hit his next shot. That's just, it always stuck with me as like, just like how incredibly calm, at least you appear outwardly for other people to look at. Like he just seems unflappable. And think about like, I may or may not have cursed his name once or twice in my 48 years on this rock, but the amount of joy that he's provided versus the amount of frustration is exponentially more joy than frustration, and and I can think about the glowing praise that he receives from Klopp too.
Yeah,
and it's not faint praise. It's like or disingenuous. I think he truly believes every word that he has to say about Divock Origi and means it.
So the thing I'll close with is I think James Milner described as like he wants to live on planet Origi because he is so kind of laid back and the thing. One of the things that I think I really love about him, he's created grants for students to be at University of Liverpool, which says to me he's probably more invested in the city than maybe some of the other people who are part of our team. But anyway, apparently there are 2 people doing law degrees now that would not be doing it if it wasn't for Divock Origi. Yeah.
Who do you think? What type of party do you think that him and Bobby Firmino would throw?
I think they're probably opposite ends of the spectrum. Actually,
because Bobby seems like he's kind of laid back too. He doesn't seem like he dresses like a Colombian drug lord, but he seems like he's really laid back.
That's an interesting question. I don't know if they move in the same circles.
Yeah, and just one more thing, the attitude. So you go from like number, I don't know, 3 to number 6 or whatever in the pecking order.
Mm-hmm.
But look at a person like what's his name, Karius. He can't even be, he can't even take Adrian's place. He's not even in the team. He's just, I don't know, lifting weights, I guess, the whole time.
He's a monster now. Have you seen him?
Yeah. I mean, it's just like that shows
goalkeeping, right?
Yeah. It says a whole lot about Divock's just attitude about everything. He's just ready whenever you need him. He's going to be there and he's going to be contributing. He's just not going to stand there. So yeah.
So lots of stuff to enjoy in the last week. fantastic performance against Man United. Some great moments against Everton, and clearly that may be the last derby in a while. And we'll pick up on that topic, I'm sure, in season 4. Before we finish today, got a big week ahead. Quite a difficult week, I think. Also on paper, or whatever people do this stuff on now, Villarreal should be a team that we handle quite comfortably. But Unai Emery's record, Sean, because I know you've dismissed this before, in European competition is pretty good. And he even took Arsenal to a Europa League final, a very poor, I think, Arsenal team to a Europa League final. They've got some, I think, pretty good players. I've been doing a bit of research, which is like Danjuma, Parejo, Chikwueze. They all look good. Gerard Moreno looks good. He may not play against us. Now, part of me says they've got too many Spurs cast-offs to give us a problem, but they look like they've got a plan, and they look like they've got some good players. Haitham, I know I'm going to go to you because I know you're not a fan of anything in La Liga, but there's definitely something about the Villarreal story that it's hard to like be negative about, right?
No, to be honest, I have nothing against them. Not because of the league where they play, but because Moreno, who I am hoping is going to be playing.
Oh, Alberto
Moreno.
Oh, yeah. So he's not a threat. No, so if he plays,
no, exactly. That's my point. That's my point. I want him to be playing left back.
United, get out! United, get out!
I don't. So the few times I watched him play this season, I think he was actually like a winger, or like
like the band.
Field leader, perhaps
an offensive midfielder. He wasn't playing in the back. So, but yeah, I mean, they're a good team. They have a very, very low budget, small stadium. Look, I can see them creating problems maybe, but to be honest, the few matches when they were playing big teams in Spain, your Barca and whatever, it wasn't like they would do good against like Real Betis or Bilbao or whatever, but when they play the big teams, I don't know, I didn't see anything from them. Not that they're not going to create problems for us. And then going back to your comment about Unai, and this might come back to bite me.
Don't say it then. Don't say it.
In the rear. But I mean, yeah, he has a good record in Europe, but it's the Europa League, right? When he was with
Bayern Munich, probably thought the same.
Well, yeah, exactly. Okay, I get that. But if you were talking about, history, he did not do well, for example, when he was playing, when he had, PSG, they didn't do well.
To be fair to him, who has done well with PSG, really?
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's going to be a cakewalk by any means. I just, I think if we play the way we've been playing, as of, I don't know, January, let's say, I think, we can have a good result, and it's an Anfield as well.
Yeah,
one of the legs.
Yeah, I mean the first one.
So here's the stat though, Haitham. We haven't won a Champions League game at home this year.
Might happen. You never know. Someday. But yeah, I just, I think it's going to be a competitive match. I can see them doing, I don't know, playing, I don't know, 5-5-0, whatever, or maybe 5-4-1 or something. But I think it's going to be a good game. I think, it's going to be a comfortable game. Again, I don't know what time this is because I'll go back to it a couple of days, maybe Thursday, just to remind you guys of what I said.
It's going to be comfortable is what I heard.
Okay. Well, not so comfortable, but but it's not going to be a bad match for us.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say.
So I think there's more challenges to this game than either the last two, because neither of those teams you just played are ever going to be in a Champions League game anytime soon. Villarreal, I think, have something about them. What are your thoughts, Daz? One thing I should also say is, they do seem to have a very classy fan base. They have made a point of being supportive of the campaign around recognizing like what really happened to Hillsborough on a lot of the stuff they've done. So, right now, if it's between them and Everton for a place in the Premier League, I'm totally for them. So,
well, I'm going to be cautious about making predictions because my son got a hold of my phone and texted all of you that the Everton game had 0-0 written all over it.
Oh, yeah. Obviously, he needs detention.
Oh, I walk away from my phone for 5 minutes, and that's what I get.
You guys have the same face print to unlock your phone?
He has a little bit more hair, but I'm definitely better looking.
Move on.
I think that Villarreal will be a way better drilled and way better prepared and staffed team than what we just faced against Everton. I don't foresee them coming out. They'll jab, probably defensive posture, try and get something on the break, which in fairness has worked for other teams in the past against us. I listened to the Anfield Rap, hey guys, and I forget who it was. I think it was Paul Cope said probably the best team that we could have faced this weekend right before Villarreal was Everton, because it allowed us to pick our way through how we can beat a team that has zero interest in playing football. Just to go back to that, I think I read or heard that they completed 95 passes that entire match. Think about that. That's one every minute. Everton, yeah.
That many?
Yeah.
It didn't feel like
many. But I think we said this last week as well on the pod, the last week's pod, that Klopp will not underestimate them in the same way that Bayern Munich has underestimated them, because they deserve to be where they are. Think about us in 2005. I don't think anyone gave us a puncher's chance to getting anywhere near that final.
Yeah.
And
or even us in 2018, frankly.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Is that too. So that's what I think. That's the real magic of this competition, is like that's any dog on its day kind of thing. And these guys have absolutely earned the right to have that day. And I like, to your point, Paul, like I think that some teams have come to Anfield and they've gotten joy from us more often than not, because we've kind of we've moved past it. Unfortunately, it seems like we downshift when we're ahead. And against Inter, like there's enough evidence to suggest that we should have absolutely smashed them, and we just couldn't finish. So it was one of those. But that's all you really need in this competition, is one of those, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so I think that Klopp will be wary, but I think we're at the point now where we've kind of become like this automaton. And I knew things would have to change in the second half against Everton, and we did. We changed them, and we have the tools to do it now. Think about it. We have a fit and firing squad that is as deep and as broad as it's ever been, and all of them have got significant minutes in their legs. So it's not like you're bringing someone in cold and asking them to do a job. A lot of these guys are getting rotated in on a per match basis. So I think that it'll probably be one of those again where we'll jab for the first 45 minutes, maybe try to pull them around, tire them out, and then try and put the sword in within like the last 20 to 30 minutes of the match. And if it's not working, Klopp can change it.
So I'm hopeful. Let's go then talk about Saturday. But I am really hopeful that Luis Diaz and Thiago Alcantara will be significant in this game. the team sheet will show up, I'm sure, on Wednesday, and neither will be playing. They'll both be on the bench. But I do think that having seen a couple of the Villarreal games, and so I watched a lot of United play this season. They played Villarreal, like they played really neatly, but they were beatable. And I think pace from Diaz and craft from Thiago might help us here. So I think we're winding down on time. Let's talk about Abu Dhabi City, or what do we got? Saudi Arabia United. Who are we going to talk about next? We're 1 point ahead of the Abu Dhabi crowd, or 1 point behind the Abu Dhabi crowd. We have to play Newcastle at the early kickoff on Saturday, which feels like probably the most difficult game we're going to play going forward. What are your thoughts, Haitham, about where the Middle Eastern owned teams are going to end up in our future? Like, let's start with the team that's playing in Newcastle.
Newcastle, they're obviously playing better than a few months ago or before January. There's one player that I don't want to say I enjoy watching, but I think he's a baller. Bruno Guimaraes. I think he's really good, and I think he's going to be a force for them. The rest of the team, I don't see anything spectacular or anything new per se. I mean, they have a style of play now. This one thing that the new coach has done for them is, as you can tell, that everyone is playing better as a team. Like he moved, for example, what's his name, Joelinton.
Joe Linton.
Yep. Yeah, he plays. I think defensive midfielder sometimes now. This past game he played as a winger, I believe. And then Sir Maximum, whatever his name is, Sam Maximum. Thank you. He's the same player, no difference. But they have, I don't even want to call it a style, but they're playing better for sure. I think that the X factor, or the player that might have a little, might add a little extra to their typical players as Bruno. But otherwise, yeah, they're playing better. I think we're definitely a better team than them. I see us, I know it's an away match, but I still see us winning. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be easy. It's not like we're going to have 75% possession and all of that stuff, but I see us still winning.
So Daz, I think one of the things that there's a plus and a minus. I think kicking off early means that the crowd won't be as in it as they would have been had it been like a evening kickoff, which I think was the case when we played them in at the end of 2018-19 when Divock scored the winning goal. But it will be less than 72 hours between our Villarreal game and playing them at St. James's Park. So
yeah, the Saudis are gonna give away Red Bull like candy that day to their crowd. So
well, yeah. So I'm setting myself up to be upset about anything they do in terms of success, given the track record of the alleged ownership, because they're really not connected with Saudi Arabia, are they? Whatever that was about.
Okay, so my thought is that Klopp will probably go hard for Villarreal, and I think he'll ring the changes for Newcastle. So, and there's pluses and minuses to that. Newcastle will definitely have their tails up. They'll probably see this as a free hit. They're out of the drop. They're in 9th right now. I'm not going to say that they'll play with reckless abandon, but I don't think they're going to stack up behind the ball. And if they do, that'll probably allow us to try and start picking them apart, because I don't think they're really set up to play that type of football. I like Eddie Howe. I've always liked him. I always thought that he was a good coach. He did great things with Bournemouth until he didn't. And sadly, I don't think he's going to be in that job for more than a season and a half, because they'll have to sexify that position up a little bit, and it's not going to be him. And I think he'll do great things. Don't get me wrong. I'm not here to piss in his Wheaties, or anyone else's actually, but I don't think that they will probably move on from him once they start dragging their big name stars in. Yeah. And what he's done is laudable. It really is. I think that we have more points than them in the calendar year, right? Is that
2022,
correct? Yeah. So look, and they're not. At least they're playing. From what I've seen, at least they're playing open football, open enough to let a 10-man Everton beat them. So I think that they can be got at, and I think that Klopp will probably make some significant changes for that.
Yeah.
And roll the dice that if it's not going his way, he can make the changes to help shore it up or to finish it off or to finish it out. So that would be that. Again, I don't get paid a lot of money to be able to A, do this podcast, and B, run a team. So I'm more than likely wrong. And I think if statistically, if we went back and looked at most of my predictions, I'd probably be in the lower upper 48s, lower 50% accuracy rate. But that would be my guess, because I think that he will judge both of those games on the potential merits. One is, yes, it's a huge game to try and secure the league, but we're not in control of our destiny there so much as we are in the Champions League. So I think that he'll dust off the stars for that one, and potentially make it less starry. Although having said that, like, I think all our guys are shining pretty brightly right now. So that would be my suggestion, or at least my prediction.
I do think there's potential for like a bunch of changes against Newcastle, which we'll see. We play before City actually next weekend. City play Leeds. Most people have decided that City are going to beat Leeds.
They tied 0-0 with Palace today. I watched.
They did, yeah.
Calvin Phillips is back.
I think City could easily beat Leeds, but I think if it's 70 minutes gone, it's 0-0. Might be interesting. Anyway,
depends on our result too, though. I think the way they'll play.
Oh, it totally does. Yeah. If we don't beat Newcastle, then I think the jeopardy is gone. Yeah, for sure. So we will be back next week. Haitham, thank you very much for joining us. Daz, thank you very much for joining us too. If you enjoyed the podcast, please share it with a friend. Our usual messages: follow us on Twitter. Well, I don't know where we'll be with Twitter by the time next week, but we certainly only tweet things that we consider genuine in terms of the source and are credible. See you next week. Hopefully, after we've cemented our place in, or at least put ourselves in a great position in terms of being in the semi-final and the final of the European Cup, and still being in the race for the Premier League.